Our readings today help us to focus on Lent and the gifts, sometimes we consider them obligations of Lent: prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Fasting is the choice to give up food or something else. And most of us stop there in our understanding of what fasting is. At the beginning of Lent, we often ask one another, what did you give up for Lent? Maybe we gave up sweets or alcohol or our favorite candy. But fasting isn't just about what we give up, it's about why we do it. And that's where the Jewish people in our first reading in the book of Isaiah missed the mark. The Jewish people were fasting in accordance with the letter of the law, and as a result, they felt that they were entitled to have access to God. That fasting had become more of a transaction. If I check the boxes and I give up certain things, then God will give me what I want. It didn't break beyond the surface of their lives. Isaiah tells the sons of Jacob that God isn't interested in a show or how their pious ways look on the outside. Their fasting and giving up of things stopped there. But God is calling us to something more. He isn't looking for an exterior change. He's looking for an interior change. Are they growing in love? Love for God is what love is seen on how we interact with those around us. Isaiah says it's not that God longs for a fast, but rather that God longs for a fast that produces the fruits of love: caring for the vulnerable, freeing those who are prisoners, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, providing shelter for the homeless. And the Israelites were not doing that. They were simply ticking the boxes. When we give up something, what do we fill that space with? The call is to allow the emptiness to draw us closer to Christ, to make us more keenly aware of our thirst and our hunger for Him. There is a temptation to quickly fill those places with substitutions. I gave up cake, so I'll eat muffins instead, or to just leave it empty. But giving up something isn't just for giving it up. Here is where the other two pillars of the gifts of Lent come in. Fasting works in tandem with prayer and almsgiving. I give up dessert, so I may lose weight and have an exterior change, but is that change actually working on my heart and soul? Do I fill that space with prayer? If I give up dessert, do I spend that time that I would have made dessert or the time I would have gone out for dessert in prayer or reading scriptures or just sitting with a cup of tea silently with the Lord? Do I fill that space with almsgiving? When I give up desserts, I may have money that I would have spent on dessert. Do I give that to the poor? Do I give the almsgiving of my time? That time I would have spent, do I use that time instead to serve others and to live out God's love, to write a note to someone who's lonely or call someone who's going through some challenges? In those ways, our fasting isn't simply an end, but a means to growing closer to God and to His people. And this, in fact, is what we are called to do. So how does our first reading relate to our gospel? Well, the question asked is, why do Jesus' followers not fast? Jesus' response is that we do not fast when the bridegroom is there, but when He is not, they will fast. Well, what does that mean for us, and how does it make sense to our lives? Well, remember that the point of fasting is to create an avenue by which we are more united with Christ. When we are with Christ, we are breaking the fast because we are with the one that we long for. In Lent, we fast in preparation for the resurrection of Christ, for Easter, and to be united with Him. The fast of an hour before Mass is also similar. We fast an hour before we have communion because we are longing for and being reminded of our hunger for Christ the Lord. And when we receive the Eucharist, we break that fast because the bridegroom is with us and within us. And we are filled with the body and blood of Christ. And in being filled with that, we are sent out to go and live it all the more, to be His hands and feet in the world, to live His love. And at that point, our fasting has ended for that moment. But we return again each week to fast, to prepare our hearts, to remind ourselves that the only thing that can actually fill our hearts is the Lord. And as we do so, we live out His love in the world.